everything I have talked about is not just applicable to eczema, psoriasis. We are talking about that specifically, but this works for every single chronic condition, in my opinion. We are covering a range of topics, from hives to nighttime eczema to ear eczema to testing, topical moisturizers, and pregnancy. So we are going to cover a bunch of questions that you guys submitted. So thank you to those who submitted questions. First person is asking about hives. And I do want to talk about hives because this is a big problem. Now, hives are different from eczema. Hives is when you get little bumps all over your body, and the person who messaged me about this has been having hives that just kind of popped up out of the blue. And the way I want you to think about the hives is I want you to think about having a funnel in your body. I like to call that a detox funnel. I also like to call that a clean body funnel, because if your body is super clean and free of toxins, your funnel will actually be moving super well and you won't have any symptoms. When that funnel gets full and it starts to overflow, you are going to see symptoms that hives is one of the big symptoms that you might see. And what that really means, I know we're talking about a funnel as kind of an analogy. What that really means is that your liver, your gallbladder, your detox organs like your gut, your kidney might be congested. Now, what does that mean? You could have had a big exposure to toxicity. Maybe in your home, you had water damage and now mold is in your home and all of a sudden your funnel is overflowing. Maybe you started drinking alcohol and drinking a lot of alcohol and that caused your liver to be congested and inflamed. What we would want to do for this is some testing to check your liver enzymes, to check your bilirubin levels, even physical exam to check the liver and see if there's any pain in that area. But typically for hives, I do really see this tied to liver congestion, liver imbalance. As a reminder, everything I'm saying here is medical education. If you want to be assessed individually and you really want to understand what's going on with you, I would recommend booking a consultation or consulting with your medical professional, okay? But hives, I really do see in my practice related to liver congestion, gallbladder congestion. You may want to look into gallbladder issues like gallstones and things like that, which unfortunately in our conventional community are often diagnosed when you have to get your gallbladder removed already, which is usually too late, right? You're at the point where you have to get a surgery. But there are so many symptoms that come before that surgery, and hives are one of those. So the person was saying, well, how do I fix this? What do I take? And it's not just about what you take. It's a number of things in your life that may be causing the liver congestion, the liver inflammation. And so you want to think about your environmental exposures, the food that you're eating. When I work with my patients and my team, we analyze, what is going on? Why is there burden on your liver? And we do that using a lot of different tests. We may also do a lot of journaling. So we are going to ask you to get on our app and journal a lot so that we can really see, okay, what are you being exposed to? We ask you to post things like your laundry detergent, the food you're eating, the creams you're using. All of these things could be toxic. So we want to think about all the toxic burdens that are filling the funnel. That includes anything you are breathing, anything you are putting on your skin, and anything you are ingesting. Those are the ways that we take in toxins in our body. And the places that those toxins can get stored if our funnel is really overflowing are our liver, our bones, our joints, our skin, those areas, our fat. Those are places that we store those toxins to really protect the other organs in our body. So for hives, it really is a sign, again, liver, gallbladder congestion, okay? All right, next question. My husband's eczema is causing him to wake up at night scratching. Do you have any tips? And somebody else also asked how to deal with nighttime scratching. Now, or itchiness. And now this is a very common time for us to get more itchiness. And one of the reasons is we have a hormone that's called cortisol. And at night, our cortisol levels actually fall. They are supposed to. Our cortisol levels fall and our melatonin levels rise. Now, when that happens, cortisol is actually, now you might be familiar with cortisol because this sounds familiar, right? Hydrocortisone is a steroid cream that we might put topically. And those cortisol levels actually create cortisone in your body, which actually is anti-inflammatory. So when you have those cortisol levels drop at night, you are actually lowering that anti-inflammatory process that's natural in your body, and people can tend to get more itchy at that time. So what I really like to do is understand the cortisol hormone for my patients. So there's some testing involved in there where we can actually test cortisol levels, melatonin levels, hormone levels to kind of see what's going on there. Often there might also be a problem with using topical steroids and then the cortisol hormones and all the other adrenal and other steroid hormones being a little bit imbalanced because you've been using topical steroids or even oral steroids like prednisone. And so often that can be indirectly related to the nighttime itchiness as well too. So, we really want to understand this by getting to the root cause. Now, some things that can help at night. Definitely you can do cold therapy. Make sure the room is a little cooler. When the body gets hot, you're definitely going to be more itchy. I do really like cold therapies like cryotherapy, ice rollers. I like a little roller that you stick in the freezer and then you just roll it over the skin at night. You can also think about doing lymphatic drainage massage at night as well too. So when we analyze our patients, we also can understand, okay, what is the best way to help with your nighttime itchiness? Everyone might have a little bit something different that's helpful for them. And so we want to kind of analyze that. There's also some natural ways that I also like to give some people to help lower the itchiness at night as well too. Conventionally, we might do something like hydroxyzine, which is kind of like a Benadryl. It's an antihistamine that's specific for itchiness, which sometimes I'm okay with people using as long as we are still working with the underlying root condition, because just dealing with the itchiness with hydroxyzine is not going to really truly help us, right? Okay. Do I help with psoriasis too? Absolutely. A lot of these root cause mechanisms I'm talking about also apply to psoriasis. The only thing with psoriasis is it's kind of a step further than eczema in some ways, where there is an autoimmune disease reaction happening, where the immune system is definitely overactive. Even in a eczema case, the immune system is overactive, but there isn't always necessarily an autoimmune reaction that's happening, okay? So absolutely, everything I'm talking about applies to psoriasis and every other skin condition actually, but especially these two, eczema and psoriasis, they're definitely inflammatory immune system reaction type of diseases. I am located in Northern California, and our program is mostly virtual. However, I am able to see some patients in person if we assess you and we feel like an in-person visit is needed. If I do see you in person, you will be coming to an office in San Francisco, California. But because we have so many wonderful mechanisms through COVID, we actually created an app, and we have all these mechanisms to actually really track the progress of people. The journal system is so amazing. We get to know people really, really well nowadays, where we get to see everything that's going on with your life, because that is such an important part of this. Labs are not the only thing, okay? We really need to understand, okay, what burdens are on your body? What are you eating? What are your dreams like? Are you having nightmares? All these things play a role. And unfortunately, our medical community, our practitioners are not usually paying attention to all of these things that are super important. Yes, you can absolutely book a discovery consultation with me. Just go to the link in my bio click book a consultation, and then I'll assess you. If you guys do book a consultation, what you're going to do first is you are going to fill out a assessment, and that is actually available on our website already. I will analyze that for you. You're also going to upload labs, any labs that you currently have. I don't expect you to do new labs because I would like to order new labs for you. But if you have any labs from your previous doctor, then you can upload those. And then we're also going to give you access to our app, which you can start journaling. And this is a big way that we get to know you. You are going to journal your food. You are going to journal your poops. I know that sounds gross, but your poop is so important. You are going to journal your stress. You're going to journal, are you sleeping? You're going to journal how much water you're drinking. I want to see the pictures of your food, okay? We are a medical practice, so if you live in California and you have FSA or HSA, we are eligible for that. And for some people in certain states, for our nutritionists, if your FSA, HSA covers medical nutrition therapy, in some states you can get covered for nutrition. And do we accept PPO? We do not accept insurance at our practice, but we do provide a super bill if you live in certain states where you can get reimbursement from your insurance, okay? I may have missed one. Somebody said with psoriasis that their stress causes them to flare. That's a really good comment because that is also true in eczema. And the reason for that is when we are stressed out, we are in a survival state. When you are in survival state, you are in a fight or flight mode. Your body essentially thinks that you are running from a bear, you're about to die. Now, in that state, it's not important to make a baby. It's not important to digest your food. It's not important to do some of these, what we call rest and digest mechanisms that are helpful for us to heal. So your body basically shuts all of that down. It shuts down your detox process, your digestive process, and you are in a survival state. So when you are stressed out, yes, all of your symptoms will get worse, especially things like psoriasis, eczema, etc. Okay? I absolutely see pediatric patients. Unfortunately, pediatric patients are a large part of the people I see because unfortunately, our kids have so much eczema nowadays. Eczema can get worse with age. Now, there's so many reasons for this. One, you're actually accumulating more toxins and more microbial imbalance over time. And so we're just not taught, right? Like you take your car to get it cleaned out. You take your car and your transmission to get it flushed out. Every year, every 2 years, your doctor is never educating you on how to clean out your body. So we basically just are accumulating toxins over time, expecting the body to continue to work. Imagine what would happen if you just didn't ever flush out your oil or your transmission in your car would break down. So eczema is an alarm system. I like to say it's like your check engine light coming on, and it's like your doctor, conventional doctor, is just putting a Band-Aid over that check engine light and not popping the hood and actually checking the engine, which is what we do. We're gonna really analyze, okay, your food, your toxic environment, your stress patterns, your exercise. What are you doing on a daily basis? Do you have trauma? And then do you have microbes in your system? Do you have toxins like heavy metals, mold toxins, environmental toxins? We'd like to analyze all of that because all of that makes who you are. We are holistic beings. We are whole beings. We cannot separate our organs into different organ systems, okay? Yes, our online program helps with eczema and TSW. It's actually a big population of our patients because I'm so outspoken about it, because I myself was born with eczema. It's why I became a naturopathic doctor. I suffered from TSW when I was pregnant, and I could not use steroid creams, or I don't want to. And so I talk a lot about it. So we actually do see a lot of eczema and TSW patients, unfortunately, just because it's such a big problem in today's world, okay? Someone is asking about andrographis, which is an herb, and solving eczema problem. I would never ever say that any one herb can solve the eczema problem. Unfortunately, eczema is an accumulation of multiple, it's like a domino effect. It's like multiple dominoes have fallen over, and one herb cannot heal eczema. For some people who their dysfunction is not really severe, maybe something like taking out gluten, taking out dairy, taking out sugar can cure their eczema. They're totally better. But I wouldn't say that one herb can do that. But sometimes there is a big culprit. Maybe it's dairy, maybe it's gluten, maybe it's, etc. And you actually take those things out and then things get better. Okay. So, unfortunately, it's multifunctional when we have any kind of symptom, not just eczema. Hi. Do you also consider genetic detoxification testing as a part of the management plan? Absolutely. And I'm weigh it all, because if we do all the testing under the sun that we could possibly do, I might be having my patient spend $2,000, which, I understand a lot of people aren't getting this covered by insurance. So I try not to do every test under the sun. I try to do the tests that really, when I'm doing the intake, it's like blaring at me. Okay, they've had exposure to mold, or it's blaring at me that everybody in their family line has had eczema. Then we might want to do genetic testing. So for your guys' information, there are functional genetic tests that we can do. One of those processes is called methylation, and it can be really helpful to understand methylation. Those are genes like MTHFR and COMT and things like that. That can be really helpful. It will help us understand, okay, are you prone to not being able to detoxify well? And yes, in my opinion, poor detoxification is one of the root causes of eczema. Now, what I would have to say about that is, yes, some of us may be predisposed to having a poor function of detoxification from a genetic point of view, but it's often the burdens that we have on our body that are actually causing a bigger problem. If we take those burdens off, potentially our genetics can work well as long as we don't have those burdens. So I like to weigh all of those things so that we don't have to, necessarily assess everything and spend so much money on lab testing. Do you have a proper protocol for steroid usage? I get different recommendations from different doctors. My proper protocol would be don't use steroids if possible, because of the problems with the possible topical steroid withdrawal. If you use steroids properly, which would be very sparingly and only for emergencies, I think it may not cause the problems. But unfortunately, us with eczema, like steroids are not an answer, right? So you keep using it, and that's how it ends up really causing problems. And maybe you don't follow your doctor's recommendations, where your doctor's not telling you don't put triamcinolone on your neck and your face, and you're still doing it because it works. And then we end up with what's called topical steroid withdrawal, where you are using topical steroids. Those get absorbed in your system because maybe you're using so much of it, you've been using it for a long time, or it's absorbing into the thinner parts of your skin, and it becomes systemic. And steroids are hormones. So essentially you are messing up your hormonal pathways by doing that, okay? Oh, someone else has another question. Do you give orders for blood work to check for sensitivities? Absolutely. If I feel this is something that's going to be helpful, I will check for food intolerance, food sensitivity, food allergy. If you live in California, if you have a PPO insurance that may cover out-of-network labs, then yes, we could potentially get that covered. We could also potentially get it covered through like Quest if that's contracted with your insurance as well too. However, usually with Quest, we don't have as many possibilities for the amount of foods we can test. We can do panels that have like 88, 250 foods and environmental allergens if we kind of use alternative labs. So I'm always weighing this for my patients. I'm always weighing cost benefit ratio. I understand that this isn't all getting covered. Unfortunately, this is what our insurance should cover, but it's not what our insurance covers. It's really unfortunate because these are where we get our real true answers from. How would we know if we might be going through TSW? How long after steroid use could TSW show up? Very good question. Typically, the hallmarks of TSW, you're going to have red skin, burning skin, and you sometimes see it like a sleeve, like on the arms, or covering a large amount of space, or maybe here as well too, and on your face. It's usually red, hot, burning. You may also see weeping, and that burning sensation is really, really key, because what's happening is steroids will actually vasoconstrict all of those vessels. And when you miss that, it actually vasodilates. And when it vasodilates, it turns on this redness, this heat, and this burning sensation, okay? So that's what happens, and that's TSW. Now, it could be, I mean, for the most part, you would have had to been using it for a good amount of time. But for someone who's a child and using very strong steroids, and especially if you're using it in the wrong areas, like your thinner parts of your skin, and your doctor has told you not to do that, you have a higher likelihood of having TSW, okay? What do you think about biological treatment, Dupixent, etc.? So I think that with all conventional medicines, they are not really getting to the root cause. I have seen Dupixent work really well to help people who are in kind of like an emergency state, right? Like they're in an emergency state and they're in such a dysfunctional place that natural remedies are not helping them to the point where they just can't sleep, they can't live, they can't do the things they need to do. I will sometimes use Dupixent in those circumstances, but my thought is always that we're going to come off of it. And when I have ever used it, it's like we do maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 shots just to help the immune system kind of calm down as we're working on that underlying condition. The problem with things like Dupixent, there are side effects. So it doesn't come with the side effects of steroids, which is great, but it comes with other side effects. With Dupixent, there could be eye problems. I have had a lot of people report that to me, eye issues, and they actually have to stop Dupixent because of those eye issues. I even spoke to one person who is almost completely blind from Dupixent. Now, that is not everybody. That is a certain amount of the population that you might have that problem with Dupixent. I think the problem with all conventional medicines is we really need to think about it differently. We need to think about those conventional medicines as being the emergency, right? It's the emergency that we're going to use because an alarm system is going off. It is not the answer. And you guys can actually look at, Yahira actually posted her story earlier this week, and she was on Dupixent for 3 years when we first started working together. It was great in the beginning, and then later on it stopped working for her about 3 years in, and that's when she found me. And you can see in her picture, I mean, like, it's not working for her at all. We took her off the Dupixent after about 2.5 months because she was actually doing so much better. If you guys want to watch her entire journey, her entire 1-hour interview is posted on YouTube. You guys can go to the link in my bio and just go all the way down, and it's the Journey to Clean Skin, an Eczema Survivor Story. Just click that. That links directly to my YouTube, and you guys can check out her 4-minute trailer if you just kind of want to see a short snippet of her story, or you can watch the entire 1-hour interview where we actually break down all of the different parts of her healing, which you guys are going to see in this. It's like we had to heal her gut. We had to heal her liver. We had to heal her kidneys. We had to do multiple protocols because it is not very simple necessarily, especially when someone has been dealing with this for their entire life. And there's so many multiple layers of dysfunction that are happening. And first it starts with, what are you doing in your daily life? Are you detoxing? Are you drinking water? Are you eating well? And then secondarily, it's, okay, how do we support your organ systems to really heal? Okay. All right. Somebody is asking about natural topicals for moisturizing eczema skin. I do have product recommendations. If you go to the link in my bio and just click product recommendations, you will see, if you click the Skin and Beauty tab, you will see just some of my recommendations for eczema that I really like, that I've found to be really helpful with my patients, either lowering redness or just moisturizing, things like that. So definitely check that out. Things like Aquaphor, I don't really love because of the petroleum in there, where there could still be some toxicity. If your product has white petroleum, that's a cleaner version of petroleum. But if it's just petroleum, there could be some toxicity in that petroleum still. I don't like things like mineral oil, etc. So you'll see I have a product called Waxoline that I recommend there, which is like an alternative to Vaseline, which provides that kind of same type of ointment type of barrier for you. Okay, how do I work with you directly to order tests and figure out what exactly is wrong with me? So I do a lot of testing and I do a lot of analysis to understand what kind of testing we need. The first step to that is really booking a discovery consultation with me. So on my link in my bio, you can click book a consultation. For a limited time, we are giving 40% off that consultation. You guys can use the code IG40 to get 40% off. So if you are interested in getting assessed, you're going to book a discovery consultation. That is a virtual consultation. Before that consultation, you're going to take some assessments for us. You're going to assess your organ system. So you're going to fill out basically a bunch of questions for 17 organ systems so that I can see what we're basically popping the hood and looking at the engine and seeing what's in balance there. So it's a wonderful thing to do. You guys can actually go to my website, actually my link in my bio, and also check the assessment there and go ahead and do it. Then you will upload any labs. If you have any labs that you've done with your doctor over the last 3 years, upload those. And then we're going to give you access to our journaling system. And you're going to basically post all of your pictures, food pictures, poop pictures, like everything. We just want to get to know you, okay? Someone is asking about eczema in the ears. It is scaly, peeling. This person, itchy and painful. She is gluten-free and yeast-free. Okay, so being gluten-free and yeast-free is great. But again, with any type of eczema, it can be multifactorial, okay? So we kind of need to go through and analyze every single part of what's happening and all the possibilities that may be causing an imbalance. With ear eczema, I often find this is due to due to a microbial imbalance, like a fungal, mold, or yeast problem. I'm happy to hear she's yeast-free already. But has somebody assessed this person for mold, for fungus, for yeast, and actually done a stool test or even a mold test? We can do mold testing by sending you a kit where you can basically stick a Q-tip up your nose, send it off, and see if there's mold growing in there. I do find that's really common when people have issues here, when people have issues in their ears, when people have things like asthma, a lot of allergies, and then even eczema and psoriasis is another one too. So I like to look for mold there. Other tests that we might do are toxin tests for the mold toxins, which are called mycotoxins. This is a urine test. So this is another thing. If we feel like the mold issue is kind of systemic and it's causing fatigue and all these other issues, then we may also want to do that type of test. So I love to hear that you're gluten-free, yeast-free. I hope you're also sugar-free as well too. But this is also still not an answer. You are just, by not eating those foods, you are just not kind of stimulating the problem, but you may not be fixing the problem. And fixing the problem would be supporting the liver, supporting the gut, then giving antimicrobials to actually kill those bugs, and then supporting the body to heal. Now you have to work with someone in order to do this. You cannot do this on your own. So making sure to find a good practitioner. Again, if you wanted to consult with me, you could look at the link in my bio and click the book consultation if you're interested in that, okay? Someone is asking, so we have something called the Clean Body Drink. And I do love my patients to start with this first thing in the morning. This is our complete liquid, and our complete liquid is actually a food-based multivitamin that's organic. And then you add a little bit of apple cider vinegar, a little bit of lemon juice, and a little bit of flaxseed oil. And this is a really great way to just flush your system first thing in the morning. This person is actually a patient of mine, and she is asking, is this something great to continue doing as maintenance? And yes, the answer to that is yes. That is actually something my husband and I still do every day. And it's really great for it stimulates a bowel movement. It stimulates more bowel flow. It really gives me some vitamin C, and I really like it. So that's called the Clean Body Drink, and I can post about it later this week, okay? All right, somebody is asking about accessibility and practical solutions. So in terms of accessibility and practical solutions, so we have the ability to work directly with us personally, where myself and my team can really analyze you. We have a wellness program and a medical program, which is available to people who live in certain states. So make sure you check that on our website. We also have a coaching program that's actually available to everybody. It's a group coaching program, and this is accessible to anybody. So in terms of accessibility, that really ups the accessibility, and that you can find on our website. If you go to learn more on the link in my bio, you can just click Clean Start, and then you can kind of click the state you live in and see what's accessible to you. Do you think individualized probiotics could help with eczema? Absolutely. I think probiotics are helpful. However, like everything else you guys have asked me when it comes to like an individual supplement is likely not going to help. Now, sometimes there's a one-off where a supplement is just like, oh my gosh, this helps so much because it really answered the problem. But typically the problem is multifunctional, it's multi-directional, and a probiotic by itself is not going to do the trick. Because in our gut protocols, we often have a 4R program, which is remove, replace, repair, restore. Remove means, okay, if you're eating anything that might be causing inflammation, we need to remove it. Replace is, okay, maybe your pancreas isn't creating digestive enzymes. Maybe you're not creating bile very well. Then we might need to replace digestive enzymes bile. Repair means that the gut lining might be a little bit inflamed and the lining is getting what we call leaky. That's a problem, and then we need to repair the gut lining. And finally, restore is where we restore the microbiome and the probiotics. So if you take probiotics, you're only doing that last part. So that's the problem, is you're only doing the last part, you're not doing the first three. And so that's where you may not see as much benefit. So I have a lot of people who come in, they're like, oh, I took a probiotic and how come it's not working? Well, because you've only done one part of the equation. Have you worked with patients also suffering from toxic mold illness along with eczema? Yes, I don't know if you just got here, but I actually just spent like the last 10 minutes talking about mold and how it can be very problematic. I actually treat this a lot in my eczema patients. A good percentage of my patients actually do have mold problems. I don't know, maybe 40% of the people I work with, I do find mold in those people. So yes, it can be a big problem. Okay, how to prep for pregnancy, lowering insulin resistance. For pregnancy, I absolutely think that you guys should spend, if you are thinking about getting pregnant, spend 3 months just really digging in and looking at your health, because when you are going to be creating a baby, first of all, in order to do that, to actually get pregnant, toxicity is the biggest thing, in my opinion, that affects fertility. So make that process easier for you. You and your partner should just clean your systems up. And I recommend like a 2 to 3 month detox. For those of you guys who don't know, I am currently pregnant. My husband and I spent 3 months detoxing. We got pregnant on the 3rd try, and I am 40 years old. So everyone gets scared when they're older, but you know, I wasn't worried about it. I knew that my body is functioning really optimally. I don't have any symptoms, and I knew I cleaned up my system. So I recommend that, and really just kind of all of the things you need to do to balance your system. Okay. All right. Do I do in-person office? Do I do IVs and other therapies for patients? This is a great question. So I used to have a physical practice in Mountain View, California. And I did close it down during COVID, and we actually switched to this online model where we actually developed an app and we developed an entire program because of COVID was one of the reasons. But actually, you know, I was going to go back in person, but I found that by dedicating all of my time to looking at people's journals every week and responding to messages rather than seeing so many people in person, I actually found that I get to know my patients a whole lot more because I really get to dive into your life and I get to see what's going on. So myself and my team, when we support you, and when I say my team, you not only work with me, but a nutritionist as well too. If you do decide to work with us, we actually look through all of your journals every week. We'll comment on those journals. We will respond and just kind of, let you know what we think you should do. So we actually spend a good amount of our time doing that throughout the week. So we've kind of shifted our model because it was just so effective in terms of really getting to know our patients. I used to do IVs personally. I actually love doing IVs. Now I actually refer out for people who I think need IVs, things like high dose vitamin C and Myers cocktails and ozone IVs. I will refer out to partners that we work with in terms of getting IVs. Part of our program, first of all, it's really setting up the foundations really well. Eating clean food, making sure you have a clean environment, making sure your fitness is working. All of those things that I think we normally ignore in terms of they play such a big role. So we always start there. So in our program called Clean Start, we always start with what I call the pillars of health while we are getting labs and evaluating you. Then after that, after I've gathered all that information, the next thing I'm going to do is recommend treatments and protocols. My protocols are geared towards usually organ systems. So I have like a clean gut protocol, a clean liver protocol. All of those are individualized towards people. Nobody gets like a generalized protocol. And within those protocols, I will recommend supplements, changes in diet, advanced nutrition plans. I'm going to recommend home treatments, like I might have you do detox baths. I might have you do lymphatic drainage massage. I may have you do hot, cold showers. These are things I might have you do at home. I may give you topical treatments that are natural, but I may also recommend things that are, if the budget allows us, things that you would do in a wellness center like IV therapy, hyperbaric oxygen chamber, IR sauna, which you can also purchase a system at home, colon hydrotherapy. To me, it's not enough to just take a supplement. It's not enough to just change your diet. It's not enough to just do stress management. We have to do all of the above for some people when the system is so dysfunctional. And then for others like babies, of course, we're not doing all of that, right? For babies, we don't need to do as much. We just kind of need to nudge the system and we need to answer, okay, what in the environment is causing the problem? So everybody is a little bit different in the way we might address that, okay? All right, well, I think I have gotten through most of the questions here. Also, if you want to just get, evaluate your organ systems and see where you might be dysfunctional, is it your gut? Is it your liver? Is it your hormones? Check out our free assessment, and you can also check that out on our link in my bio. And then also, if you just want to get more education, definitely check out my podcast, check out my YouTube channel. I just have a lot of videos. I have a lot of information there that can be really useful for you. And if you want to book a consultation, as I said earlier, we are offering 40% off for a limited time. You can click book the consultation on the link in my bio and use the code IG40 to get 40% off. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me today. This was great. I really enjoy the Ask Me Anything because I really get to see what people are dealing with and answer those questions for you. I hope this was helpful. This will be posted on my Instagram and also on my YouTube. So if you guys want to access this, you can access it there. And someone says, I think the detoxification protocol can also work perfectly for neurodegenerative conditions. Oh, so detox and cleaning up the system, everything I have talked about is not just applicable to eczema, psoriasis. We are talking about that specifically, but this works for every single chronic condition, in my opinion. What I think is the skin conditions are kind of the first alarm system that pop up. It's the first sign, which is why a lot of our babies have this problem where if we don't fix this problem, this becomes neurodegenerative problems, Parkinson's, and all of these later life aging issues often are related to just this burden of toxins over time that no one has ever addressed. And I would link everything we talked about, I would link it to every chronic disease that we actually analyze that in the same way. So I don't just treat skin conditions. We treat every chronic illness that is coming up because oftentimes it's not the illness and the disease we want to actually analyze, but actually what is happening underneath. And a lot of times, a lot of things I mentioned today are those underlying conditions. I do think that some of those root causes are tied to certain diseases. So we specifically talked about those skin conditions today. But yes, neurodegenerative disease, absolutely. Autoimmune conditions. I mean, asthma, cardiovascular, diabetes. I mean, you name it, we can tie it to everything we've talked about today. Okay, so thank you everyone for joining me, and I will see you next week. All right, have a great week, everyone. Bye-bye.